What up, Scam? Welcome to Bar Vibes with Bryce the Fourth, giving out raw reaction and interacting with the masses. No subject is safe. You hear the people and the noise, but that's the point because without the people, what is the point? Embracing vibrations. You know, it is NFL Week 17, and I thought about getting on here and talking shit and bashing that team in Dallas, and I'm still gonna do it. Fuck them. They lost badly, terribly, horribly, double digits. Where were they in the second, third, fourth quarter? Didn't even see them. Wild. Jalen Hurts. Wait, no, whoa. Jalen Hurts didn't even play. Second and third string quarterback came in there. Pew, 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 pew. Fired on their asses. Tanner McKee had never had a single snap in the regular season. 2 touchdowns. 4 attempts. 1, 2, 3, 4 attempts. 2 touchdowns. Cooper Rush is in Eagle hell. He's played the Eagles 3 times. 2 touchdowns, 5 picks. He just can't escape it. He even said it. He was like, I don't know what it is. Anytime I play them, he's in shambles. Shambles. The biggest story, obviously, from this game is that Saquon broke the record, 2K for Say. And then, now you have to wonder, do they play him next week against the Giants? Yes. For the record, yeah. He could have easily gotten 101 yards combined in the last 16, 17 games. You play him, a couple drives, maybe a half. That's light. We're talking about the Giants. The Giants. And you get all these Cowboys fans like, oh, well, it's the end of the season. Blah. No. We're not doing that. You're not in the playoffs. You get Micah Parsons talking about, oh, well, take the scoreboard away. Well, first of all, the scoreboard dictates who wins and loses. That's number 1. 2, he goes, 5, 6 plays. Yeah, those 5 plays were touchdowns. That is how you win football games, by scoring points. You played this game long enough, Micah. You should know this. What are we talking about here? Eagles they wrapped up the number 2 seed. And again, the biggest thing is, do you play Saquon next week? The O lineman want it 100% because it's one of the only things that O linemen can really rest their head on is hey, I blocked for this guy when he ran for 2K, and Saquon's the 9th person in history to ever do it. Eric Dickerson, cut it out, stop hating, because you broke the record 1 extra game over OJ. So what are we talking about here? But at the end of the day, NFC East champions, EAGLES, Eagles, go Birds. But in other news, Lions and 49ers, there's not much to say. The Niners have been kicked out of the playoffs for 2 weeks now, I believe. And they started off hot, the Niners did. And then they just fizzled out. The Lions' offense is elite. And this game, though, showed that their defense can be beat, bars. Their defense can be beat because the Niners are stuck in this game, and they're not playing for anything. And if you're a Niners fan, GM, whatever, how much are you paying Brock Purdy in this offseason? Yeah, he was the last pick in the draft, Mr. Irrelevant, but he's taking you to an NFC Championship game. He's taking you to a Super Bowl, but he's also remained that streak where either the Niners go to the NFC Championship game or they just miss the playoffs entirely. This year, they missed the playoffs entirely. But I think he's played himself into some money. How much money are we talking? 40? 50? How many years? The players seem to like him. I don't know. I think the biggest takeaway is that the Lions lost Montgomery, their running back. Jahmyr Gibbs seems like he can carry the load. Pause. And Vikings Lions next week is going to be crazy. Nuts. And then speaking of which, Vikings Packers. I thought it was going to be more competitive from the Packers at the beginning. I thought the Vikings were going to run away with it after they were at like 27-10. The Green Bay Packers offensive line is a problem, and not in a good way. Jordan Love, he's pretty good like throwing off his back foot, but when he is scampering and has no time, his offense is just terrible. And you get your coach for the Packers, he ran a pointless 2-point conversion, which they got, hand up, they did it, but it was very pointless because it went from a 10-point game to a 9-point game. It's still 2 possessions. Pointless, just take the extra kick, whatever. Their division, the NFC North, 3 teams in the playoffs, which is very rare to do, and they all are double-digit wins with the Lions, the Packers, and the Vikings. The Vikings handled their business, and they want people to take them seriously because I remember a time when the Vikings were they were number 1 in the division, but they were terrible in turnover differential. They only had 4 points up on their opponents, when you compare points scored. But this year, they're doing their thing. Sam Darnold. And if you don't know who Sam Darnold is, he's the quarterback for the Vikings. He got drafted by the Jets, was terrible because they mismanaged him. Went to the Panthers, got beat out, by Baker Mayfield for the starting job, got hurt, went to the Niners, did absolutely nothing, and went to an organization that actually was like, hey, we could use you. We know how to use you. Kevin O'Connell, quarterback whisperer, did his thing. And now they have a chance to get the number 1 seed if they beat the Lions next week, which is going to be a fire Sunday night game. Kudos to the Vikings. I have no ill will against them. They were a part of the Eagles' Super Bowl run. So whatever. Bengals, Broncos. The Bengals saved their season. They're still in the hunt. Wildly. Their offense is just ridiculously good. They have a T. Higgins problem. Their wide receiver, T. Higgins, openly said that he would take less money if he could stay because he loves Joe Burrow. He doesn't want to go somewhere where, he's getting a couple milli more, but he's on a shitty-ass team. I wouldn't want that. You tell me I take $2 million less dollars, but I could be on a team that potentially win, the big thing? Sure, absolutely. Because if you're playing, some people play for the money, some people play for the game, some people play for both. I don't know. The Broncos defense looked like the Broncos defense from the beginning of the season. They stopped the Bengals multiple times in the red zone, but Bo Nix was just throwing weird-ass picks, bars. Still tough. Bo Nix still tough. I'll give him that. But if the Broncos win this week, they're in, no matter what happens. The only problem is that they got to play the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, granted, Chiefs are resting their starters because they've been locked into the number 1 seed for 2 weeks now. And the Bengals win, Dolphins lose, Broncos lose, the Bengals are in. So then we get that scenario. Is Joe Burrow the MVP? He's got 4,600 yards, 42 touchdowns, 8 picks. There's only been 5 players who've done that. 4 of them have won MVP. 1 of them is Joe Burrow, and he's on a losing team. Every other one of those players had 12 wins or more. Joe Burrow could potentially have just wasted his greatest season ever, and I hate that for him. It sucks, but that's the way love goes, said Janet Jackson. Commanders and the Falcons. It was a good game from 2 rookie quarterbacks, Michael Penix, Jaden Daniels. They both made mistakes. They both showed poise, and they both kept their teams in the game. The Commanders, I thought they were going to lose because the Falcons jumped on them. I think it was 17-7. They started off hot, but the Penix mistakes just were too much. And then Jaden Daniels still made mistakes, but obviously came out on top. The Commanders were clearly trying to force the ball to eliminate Zaccheaus. I've never seen or heard this man's name called so many times in a game, and it's because he used to play for the Falcons. The Falcons drafted him. I get it. But they were throwing quick screens to him, slants, long balls, handing him off the ball. I guess he might live there still, or his family is from there. But this man, I didn't even hear Terry McLaurin's name the entire game. Jaden Daniels might have the clutch gene. And I don't say might because he's a rookie, and I get it, but this man shows up when it's time. Also, and I've been saying it all year, go back and look at my videos, he needs to learn how to slide or at least get out of harm's way because he's not that big. He's not a big dude. He's barely 200 pounds, if that. Maybe 5'10", 5'11". He needs to learn how to slide or else we might have another RG3 situation on our hands. I'm just saying. But the Commanders clinched a playoff spot. Kudos to them. Golf clap for them, for sure. And Dan Quinn is a Coach of the Year candidate simply because they were like 4-13 last year, and now they're in the playoffs with another game in hand. Hey, I gotta give credit where credit is due. Zach Ertz gets his incentives. I didn't know that this existed, but he needed 600 yards, 60 catches, and 6 touchdowns in order to get like $750,000 extra dollars. He did it with overtime. And so, I'll never disparage an Eagles ledge. Obviously, got a ring on that finger. Not talking about the one that he got married with. The Falcons had this division and their playoff hopes in their hands. In their hands. It was right here. And now they need help. Now they need somebody to lose, and they need to win in order to get in. They were 4-0 in their division, and now what? So, the Panthers and the Bucks. Speaking of which, the Panthers stuck around in the beginning. I kept looking up at the TV because they were on the same time as the Eagles, and I was like, oh, okay, still in this game. And then it was like a 20-point game. I was like, nah, still the Panthers. But if you were a Panther fan, or a player, or a coach, and the beginning of the year, you're like, I might be jumping ship. You took a step off that ledge because the Panthers look pretty good. The foundation is solid, especially when it comes to their receivers with Bryce Young. They got to get better with their O-line. They might need a piece here or two there with their defense, but other than that, coaching's pretty good. They're high on, Canales. Play calling's pretty good. Bryce Young's been stepping up in the pocket. I think that the Panthers better keep Adam Thielen because he feels like Bryce Young's security blanket. Throws it to him when he's in trouble, just like if you had like a big tight end. He's that guy for him. Baker Mayfield, his career still continues to be rejuvenated. He's got over 40 touchdowns. And now the Buccaneers hold their own destiny. So if they win, they're in no matter what. No matter what happens, the Buccaneers win, they're in because the Falcons shitting the bed. If you're a betting person, I would bet on Mike Evans to get over 80 yards this week because he has 915 yards. If you don't know who Mike Evans is, he's been playing for the Bucs for 11 years. And for 11 years straight, Mike Evans has had 1,000 yards. He needs 85 yards to meet 1,000 for the 12th straight year. If you're a betting person, you might want to put some money on Mike Evans getting over 80 yards because if you don't think they're in meetings right now talking about, hey, we need to get Mike this 85 yards, you're stupid. You're dumb. Giants and the Colts. I'll be nice to the Giants first. Sure. Drew Lock looked like what they wanted Daniel Jones to look like every week. Slinging it, taking care of the football, running it in a couple times. Why not? 3 touchdowns. I was like, damn, Drew Lock got 3 touchdowns? Whoa. And Malik Nabers is a fucking baller. 103 catches. He's only the 5th rookie to ever have triple digits receptions in his first year. 1,140 yards, 6 touchdowns, and he's had 3 quarterbacks. That just means it doesn't matter who's throwing me the ball. I'm going to catch it and make something happen. He was hooping. But the Giants won him, but for what? You had the number 1 pick. If you lose this game that you won against the Colts, and next week, which you probably will lose, for what? Why? You've already bungled the Saquon Daniel Jones situation. You had an opportunity to get the number, and you fucked that up too. You hate to see it. And also, the Colts, they had one fucking job with the Texans reeling. One job was to win this game to keep yourself in playoff contention. No. Against a Giants team who had no business winning. You got Joe Flacco out there who was addicted to playing football. I don't know why he's still in the league, just for shits and gigs, I guess. Because the Colts haven't won their division since 2012. That's a long time in football. I don't know why the Giants decided to win this game, but they did. It's pride, I guess. You can call it what you want, but they fucked their draft position up. You hate to see it. I don't, but they do. It is what it is. Dolphins and the Browns, there's not much to highlight about this game. Dorial Torrey, Thompson, Robinson, 47 attempts and 170 yards. That's all you need to say about the Browns offense. What is that? What is that? Tyler Huntley was in for Tua. Snoop Huntley, excuse me, my bad. Tua was out with a hip injury. They were asking Mike Daniels, was it because Tua had surgery on his hip after college, but it was a different. This is an injury that's totally different from that. They just didn't want to put him in to get him hurt, pretty much. And Tyler Huntley's still the worst Pro Bowler ever. If you don't know, look it up. Tyler Huntley made the Pro Bowl because the three quarterbacks ahead of him were in the playoffs or hurt, so he somehow made it with like 7 touchdown passes. It was the wildest thing ever, but he made it. Hey, it's on his resume, and you can't take it away from him. The Dolphins still have a chance to make the playoffs. If they win and the Broncos lose, they're in. And then you have to wonder, is Tua going to play? Is he going to be healthy enough to play? But their defense is just so bad. I don't know. The Raiders Saints, 2 more teams just here playing for pride. Both are just going to have top 10 picks. I guess the biggest takeaway is that Brock Bowers passed Mike Ditka for the most yards by a rookie tight end. But he also passed Darren Waller for the most catches by a Raiders pass catcher, receiver, tight end ever, which is pretty damn decent for a rookie, especially with a rookie with it was Gardner Minshew and it was AOC and it was Gardner Minshew and it was AOC, but he still was catching them rocks. I don't know what the Saints need on offense or defense. Spencer Rattler, he looks viable. Like, like if he gets in as a second quarter or as a second quarterback, but is he a starter? He's turnover heavy. I think that the Saints need to get younger on defense. I didn't know that Cam Jordan, was the Saints leader in sacks, 120. That's tremendous. That's Hall of Fame numbers right there. But again, another game where it's just 2 teams playing for absolutely nothing. The Bills and the Jets. I didn't expect anything less. Bills started kind of slow. It was like 12-0, and I was like, y'all got to jump on them. It was because the Jets were holding the ball and getting into the red zone and then either doing nothing with it or turning it over. The Bills are undefeated at home, which is very, very difficult to do, so shout out to them. And it was kind of weird how Aaron Rodgers was out of the game and then the Jets started scoring. Granted, the Bills were playing some of their second string, third string starters because it was 44-0. But Tyrod Taylor got in there and they scored 2 touchdowns with ease, without any problems. If the Bills have any shot in the playoffs, they need to play this type of defense because they played against a very, very talented Jets team. You got 2 number ones, honestly, with Garrett Wilson and God damn it, why is his name escaping me? Devontae. And Breece Hall is a monster, top 5 in the league at running back. And then you got Aaron Rodgers, who's savvy. He's still a veteran. He's still a 4-time MVP. What a wasted fucking season. I don't even know if Aaron Rodgers is going to be on this team next year. Who knows? I know Bills Mafia is raving for their quarterback to be MVP, and he has a case. He has a case. The Rams and the Cardinals. Bang. Another game where the Cardinals mathematically out of the playoffs. They were just trying to play spoiler. That didn't work out. It was a low-scoring game. The Rams' offense is stagnant. Even with Puka Nacua, even with, I don't even know if Matthew Stafford remembers who Cooper Kupp is. I remember them saying that they always have like breakfast together and stuff like that, but he's not getting any targets. I think Puka Nacua had like double-digit targets. He definitely had over 100 yards. And when Matt Stafford was in a bad spot, he was throwing it to Puka. So maybe this is a transition. I don't know. Maybe Cooper Kupp's a little banged up. Defense, though, for the Rams on fire. They've only allowed less than 9 points in the last 3 games, which is great when you're headed into the playoffs because they won the division. And it's amazing how they did it because they started like 2-4. I think they rattled off like 8 straight wins. So, I mean, that's coaching. That's your players buying into what you say every week. So, I mean, the Rams are a team to look out for. And if you watch the game, Kyler Murray is a whiny-ass bitch. He threw a football at a ref because he didn't make a call. Something needs to be done here. I don't know if the coach needs to be fired or he needs to be sat down, but there needs to be a big change in Arizona because then you'll be wasting Marvin Harrison Jr., you'll be wasting James Conner, you'll be wasting Kyler, honestly. So, yeah. Seahawks, Bears, no. Not going to talk about it. It was 9-6. Chiefs and the Steelers. I'll start with the fact that the Chiefs just win. They just do. They don't do it in a specific fashion, but if you give them if you crack the door open, like you make one mistake or something like that, they're gonna jump on you and then they'll never look back. And that's just a winning culture. Shout out to Andy Reid. Shout out to Pat Mahomes. There's an issue in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh are in the playoffs, by the way, but there's multiple quotes from players on the team currently that are blaming someone. Obviously, they're not going to say who, but someone's to blame, but no one's saying who it is. Their lineman, Cam Hayward, said when you have 10 players out there and one person makes a mistake repeatedly, you're going to have a problem. Don't know who that person is. I'm sure if you're a Steelers fan, you might know. If you do know, fill me in. No Craig David. Just let me know. Both teams going to the playoffs. It was just this was an exhibition, basically. The Chargers and the Patriots. The Patriots suck, and the Chargers clinched the playoff berth. That's it. Patriots couldn't get anything going on offense. Their coach had nothing to say, honestly, and there was nothing else to say. Drake May would love for some support. I think he'll get it next year, but again, another team playing for a higher draft pick. Chargers, Jim Harbaugh, just doing his thing. Everywhere he goes, he enhances the team. He did it with Michigan. He did it with this team. He did it with, the Niners back when they had, God damn it, Colin Kaepernick. Yeah, so, Patriots need to be better in the offseason. It's very rare for them to get this high of a draft pick, but they better make sure that they don't waste it. They didn't waste it on Drake May last year. It's good for them. And the Chargers didn't charger it. They made the playoffs. Look at that. Ravens and the Texans. 31-2, but the Texans still clinch because the Colts fucking suck. They got beat by 29 points and still clinched their division. Ouch. I'm not sure what's going on with the Texans. This is the definition of a sophomore slump for the quarterback for the Texans. The injuries didn't help. He was without his number one receiver for 4 weeks, and then he comes back, and then his number two receiver goes out when the number one comes back. He's missing some linemen. C.J. Stroud was snake bitten, but he also was making some really bad choices this year. But at the end of the day, they're in the playoffs. But that's what happens when we get a lack of run game with the Texans because, Mixon was on his way to getting, significant yards. But when you're playing from behind all the time, you can't run the football, and that's just facts. Is Lamar the MVP of this year? You go look at the stats. He's beating, Josh Allen in every aspect other than rushing touchdowns. They basically have the same record. Who do you give it to? I get that Lamar has a slightly better arsenal of weapons, but the man is just doing things that I guess Josh Allen can't do. Maybe I don't see, and this is why I'd have a tough time deciding. But other than that, Sixers have 13 wins right now. How about that? Look at that, 13 wins, 13-19, and I think they're in the 10th spot right now. So shout out to them. Joel had 37 last night. Tyrese Maxey's playing out of his mind. Liverpool, top of the table in two leagues. Champions League, 8 points clear in the Premier, and we still have a game clear. And then I'm sitting here, there's a bowl game on right now on a Tuesday, but it's because it's the day before New Year's Eve, obviously, which is weird. But, hey, a lot of people off work, people taking, time off. It is what it is. I guess I'll say don't concern yourself with resolutions. Just be better day to day. And those that elevate you, just keep them smiling. That's pretty much it. Happy New Year's to New Year, excuse me, to anyone who's listening. Big ups to the first eight. Stay focused and be great. Take a sip. Enjoy yourselves. Happy New Year.